Chris Mannix, courtside last night, NBA writer for Yahoo Sports. What did you see last night, Chris?
Well, I saw a really resilient Boston team. I mean, this is now the second time this season where they've faced a top Western Conference team. And look, I'm including Oklahoma City as a top Western Conference team, even though they're struggling. Fallen behind by 17-plus in the second half and rallied to win. This is a team, Dan, that's, starting two players that are from Generation Z. It's a team that is incorporating all but four new players at the mix that lost Gordon Hayward to a grotesque injury, and still they play with unbelievable resolve and unbelievable commitment. They're an elite defensive team, and I mean that quite literally. They're the best defensive team in the NBA right now, and the way they're playing, it's showing a poise and a maturity that you just couldn't expect from a team this young and this new together.
Yeah, I like what I saw with the defense part of it, but also you have Brown and Tatum, who I don't know if they were expecting them to be this good this soon, but they almost are forced to be this good this soon if this team is going to challenge in the East. But if I said right now, Celtics or Cavs win the East. Well,
I'm assuming you read my column last night, Dan, where I declared it. The Celtics are going to win the East. I threw it in. I threw it out there. It's a done deal. Mid-November, I made the call. And as you know, I'm never wrong about these things.
No, you're not.
So
no, you're not.
It's a lock. And I now realize every word coming out of my mouth is being rolled on, and that's fine. But yes, Boston's coming out of the East.
Would you put a bet on that?
No, see, here's the problem with my bets with you. You don't bet anything back. You say to me, like, hey, will you shave your head if this happens? Hey, will you spin the wheel of punishment if this happens? And me, kind of being sort of Charlie Brown-esque, I just say, yeah, sure, I'll do it. Of course, I believe that much. And I get off the phone with you, and I realize that there's no upside here for me. So we're going to have to negotiate terms, Dan, if we're going to have an actual bet.
I'll let you host this show if you win.
Will you sit in Perloff's seat during it?
Yes. Yes, I will sit in McLovin's seat.
Wow. Okay. Now, see, that's appealing. Now, what's the flip side of it?
You have to get a haircut that looks like Paulie's.
I don't even know what you say to the barber when you go in there.
You just bring a picture of Paulie.
Can we do it in, like, the month of August?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, we could do it.
As long as there's, like, a window where I can grow it back before I actually have to be seen in it. I mean, sorry, Paulie.
Yeah, we can make it work. All right,
let's do it.
A couple other things. I don't know if you read the GQ article on Kevin Durant, but, man, was that fascinating with some of the quotes that he had, where he talked about how he's not a leader. Steph's a leader. He doesn't want to be a leader. The insecurity that he still has and he carries around with him that he's trying to fight through is pretty amazing for one of the top 5 players in the world. Did you take anything away from that article, that profile?
A little bit, and the leadership stuff was very much what takes you back. But, Kevin, if you're ever around him, he's just perfectly willing at all times to kind of open up about this stuff. And that's what people love about him and what he most often gets criticized for. Look, if you don't feel comfortable in that leadership role, then that's great. Like, admitting to it, like, opens you up for criticism. But it's great. Like, if you just want to be Kevin Durant, 28-point-per-game scorer, MVP candidate, who cares? Not everybody is cut out to be, Jordan or Bird or one of these guys that loves and craves, that responsibility. I commend Durant in some ways for being willing to kind of bare his soul like that in the story, knowing that he'd probably get roundly criticized for most people for saying something like that.
Talking to Chris Mannix, Yahoo Sports NBA writer, joining us, Dan Patrick Show. The commissioner of the NBA is trying to get rid of that one and done. What would be the perfect plan, do you think, that would placate everybody in a situation like this?
Well, I've had over the years a bunch of conversations with both the union and the NBA. Now, like, this is a union issue. Like, they've got to get Michelle Roberts and a union on board and give them something in exchange. I mean, there has been an impasse between these two sides since the rule was first implemented, 10, 15 years ago. And Roberts, to this point, has always said to me, and people at the union have always said to me, that there's got to be something significant sent back in return. Now, I don't know exactly what that is at this point, but there's going to have to be either a spike in player salaries, extension of the number of years. There's going to have to be a significant give back to the union. The NBA would love to have a rule in place. I think a compromise might be, Dan, kind of a rule where they say you can come out after your senior year, but if you go to college, it's 2 or 3 years. I can see that being a rule that they can agree on, but the only way they can agree on it is if the players' union financially gets something in return.
Yeah, I'm not sure where we're headed, but I think we're headed towards the end of the one and done, and probably in the next couple of years. But you're right.
What do you think it should be, though? Like, what do you like? This is my question to people whenever this comes up. Like, what should it be? Well, I don't think the one and done is perfect, and you can't prove a negative. But I'm convinced, because I saw so many guys in the 90s come into the draft that had no business. Corleone Young, Taj McDavid. I mean, these guys had no business coming into the draft. I'm convinced that as much as we think the one and done is flawed, and probably is, the one and done has probably saved dozens, if not more, of players from themselves, forced them to go to a college where they realized while they were there that they weren't cut out for the pros.
Yeah, I understand that the one and done has been a little bit of a safeguard with some of these kids who would have come out after high school. But what if you get drafted and your contract's guaranteed, but you don't make the roster and you play in the G League? That's a possibility here. I just think college has to get back to being college. You know what? They've embarrassed themselves because they acquiesce to these kids who come in. They don't want to be there. Hey, we'll look the other way. You don't have to go to class, and we'll rent you for 6 months. You play the game. We play the game. Everybody benefits, and we move on happily ever after until the next wave comes in. College has to go back to being a place of higher education, learning, and not being made fools out of.
I completely agree, and it is kind of a utopian viewpoint of college. But even if they change these rules, is college really going to ever be college? I mean, are major programs not going to continue to go out of their way to make things easier for student athletes? Will money stop changing hands, as we've seen with this college basketball scandal? I mean, maybe it happens on a lesser scale, but I've given up believing that there's any hope for college sports ever developing into that true amateur system that we all kind of want it to be. I think it's always going to be a flawed and probably corrupt system for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, probably so, because there's so much money at stake. The situation with the Lakers, with Lonzo Ball being benched, the micromanaging and looking at his shot and his confidence level, and what do you do? If you're Luke Walton with Lonzo Ball, now what do you do?
Coach him up. That's all you can do. I mean, you bench him. Maybe you don't start him. You don't send him to the G League. That's kind of a dumb theory I've seen floated out there a little bit. I mean, you just keep working with him. And he's in a unique situation because of the spotlight he's under, and because of everything that his father has said, and will probably continue to say. But a point guard struggling is not news. I mean, go look at Russell Westbrook's numbers from his first year. I think he was 17 turnovers a game at one point. I mean, he was a mess as he was trying to figure out the most difficult position, I think, in any sport. Playing point guard in the NBA, because of the complexities of it, because of how different it is from the college game, and because of the number of players you go up against every single night, it is unbelievably challenging. Now, they have to figure the jump shot thing out. And I didn't like that Magic Johnson so summarily dismissed the idea of changing it. I mean, if it's broken, you got to fix it. Kawhi Leonard came into the NBA as a sub-30 three-point shooter. Chip Engelland with the Spurs, they said to him, we need to change your shot. Kawhi did, and now he's one of the best three-point shooters in basketball. If they deem this jump shot broken, they've got to go to Lonzo, and he's got to be willing to change his shot to become a better player. That's the only thing I can see as being up for debate. Everything else, it's just normal, Dan. Playing this position, being in this spot, it's just normal for a point guard to struggle the way he is.
Great stuff, Chris. Thanks for getting up for us, and we'll talk to you soon.
I got to go look at Paulie's haircut again. I got to figure that one out.
Yeah. It's short. It's Jason Statham. Just bringing a picture of Jason Statham.
That's not Jason Statham. That's not.
Paulie keeps
Statham.
telling me it's Jason Statham. He goes, "Yeah, I got a Jason Statham haircut."
It's like Jason Statham if he was trapped on the island that Tom Hanks was in Castaway for like a couple of years.
Wow.
And that's
That's a shot. Thank you, Chris. Have a good weekend.
Hi, Dan.
That's Chris Mannix.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.